There's a difference between working and building. One burns fuel. The other builds futures. I learned that the hard way, back when I thought productivity meant keeping my inbox at zero, juggling notifications, racing between tabs like I was winning something. But I wasn't. I was drowning, slowly. Not in water, but in noise. Then came the shift. I started asking a dangerous question every morning: am I burning my time on something that will outlive me? And if the answer was no, I would walk away. Literally. 5 minutes. That's all it takes to start reclaiming clarity. I'd stand up and move, even just pacing across the room, because stillness in the body breeds static in the mind. Then I'd breathe, 4 seconds in through the nose, 6 out through the mouth. The kind of breath that slices through fog. Third, I would change my input. No screens. No buzzes. No dopamine drip. Just stillness, or the rustle of leaves outside, or a 5-minute talk with a human being. Something real. And when I returned to work, it wasn't for a marathon. It was for a mission block. 45 minutes. One target. All in. Then break. Then repeat. No more 8-hour drag fests. No more half-awake multitasking. I work in cycles, not slogs. But here's the real kicker: the mental drain doesn't just come from work. It comes from the thousands of micro-decisions that don't matter. Should I reply to this? Should I click that? Should I keep scrolling? Each one is a leak. Each one is a theft from your future self. So I set boundaries. Steel ones. I don't take meetings before 10 a.m. I don't check email until I've solved one hard problem. And I say no 90% of the time, not because I hate people, but because I love clarity. Burnout doesn't begin in your calendar. It begins when your clarity is interrupted. Protect that, and your energy will last longer than you ever imagined. Now, I want you to ask yourself, where are you draining? Is it in indecision? Distraction? People-pleasing? If you don't know the answer yet, write this down right now. I'm going to protect my mission blocks starting tomorrow. That sentence is your first psychological firewall. Because it's not about hacks. It's about boundaries. And boundaries aren't walls. They're fuel tanks. Protect them, and you'll finally have something left in the engine when it's time to take off. And we're just getting started. Everyone wants a hack. People DM me, email me, stop me in hallways, all asking the same thing: how do you stay productive? How do you avoid burnout? How do you do it all? They want an app, a trick, a calendar plugin. But the real answer? I built a life that doesn't drain me. That starts with this truth: the biggest productivity hack is boundaries that don't move. Here's mine. Asterisk: I don't take meetings before 10 a.m. Asterisk: I don't touch my inbox until I've solved a meaningful problem. Asterisk: I say no to almost everything, unless it feeds the mission. Not because I'm cold. Not because I'm antisocial. Because every yes you say to someone else is a no to the future you're building. You need to understand this: clarity is currency. And just like currency, if you don't protect it, it will disappear, spent on the wrong things. Burnout doesn't hit you on Friday afternoon. It starts when you check your phone before your brain has even woken up. It starts when your to-do list gets hijacked by someone else's priorities. It starts when you switch tabs every 15 seconds, thinking you're working. You're not working. You're reacting. And you cannot build a legacy in reaction mode. So here's what I do when everything goes sideways: when rockets fail, companies lose billions, critics go viral, and the mission looks dead. I don't panic. I follow a protocol. Step 1, brutal honesty. I name what just happened. No sugarcoating, no spin. This just failed. This hurts. This happened. Step 2, future self-perspective. I write one line. What would the version of me 10 times smarter do right now? That line alone clears more mental fog than coffee ever could. Step 3, irreversible motion. I take one small action that I can't take back: an email, a commit, a call. Not because I feel ready, but because collapse is magnetic. And motion is the only way to break gravity. You don't wait to feel better. You move, an inch, a step, a breath. That's how I outlast the chaos. Not by being fearless, but by refusing to stand still. Because let me tell you something most people never hear. You will fail. Not once. Not twice. You will give everything you've got, and the world will still spit in your face. People will leave. Launches will crash. bank accounts will bottom out. And in that moment, that exact 10-minute window after collapse, you have a choice. Let the failure define you, or use it to become someone new. Because if you're building something that matters, failure isn't a detour. It's a test. And if you pass it, you're no longer breakable. Let me warn you now. Collapse is not a maybe. It's a guarantee. The moment you decide to build something that matters, life doesn't roll out a red carpet, it tests your resolve. Not once, not twice, but again and again, until you either quit or transform. People think failure is a sudden explosion, that it happens the day the company goes bankrupt or the moment the rocket crashes. But no, failure builds in silence, like rust under steel. It begins the moment you stop believing in the mission, the second you start saying, maybe this isn't my dream. The day you tell yourself, I don't care anymore. And that feeling, that numb, defeated voice in your head, that's not peace, that's surrender wearing a disguise. I call it silent surrender. It creeps in at night, when no one's watching, when the inbox is full, your bank account's low, and the voice in your head whispers, what's the point? I've been there. Sitting in a parking lot of a half-built Tesla factory at midnight. No press, no cameras, just me and the fear that everything I built was about to die. I remember asking myself, what if this is all for nothing? What if I gave everything, and the world still laughed, walked away, or sued me? That moment? It changed everything. Because in that dark, silent hour, I realized something powerful. There's a window. A 10-minute window. Right after the collapse hits, right after the failure lands, where you get to decide, will I spiral, or will I rise? In that moment, I do 3 things, always. 1. Brutal honesty, I name what just happened without spin, no excuses. No blaming. Just truth. 2. Higher self-command, I write one sentence, what would the version of me that's 10 times smarter do right now? 3. Micro-action, I take one irreversible step forward, not something huge, just one move that breaks the gravity of collapse. Because collapse pulls hard, it wants you to quit, but even the smallest step is enough to disrupt its pull. Most people don't fail because they tried and lost, they fail because they stopped moving. They shut down, go quiet, and tell themselves, this just isn't me. But the truth is, that voice is a lie, You don't need motivation, You need a system that runs even in pain. That's what I built, and that's what will carry you through. You will never build something that lasts if you keep saying yes to everything, I learned that lesson the hard way. In the early years, I was a yes man. I took on every opportunity, said yes to every meeting, and tried to please everyone. But here's the truth, you can't please everyone, and you shouldn't try to. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. Being busy is easy. Just say yes to everything. But being productive? That requires focus. And focus requires saying no. I began to realize that every yes I gave away was a no to my bigger mission. It was a choice that took my time, energy, and resources away from building the future I wanted to create. I had to change my approach. I started saying no, not because I didn't care, but because I cared about my time and my mission more than anything else. This wasn't just about saying no to others. It was also about saying no to myself. There were times when I would be tempted to check my phone, browse through emails, or start a new project. But I had to resist the urge. Because each distraction meant pulling myself further away from what really mattered. The truth is, we are all constantly bombarded with distractions. Emails, meetings, calls, social media. All of them begging for our attention. But here's the thing, if you give in to every distraction, you'll never get anything meaningful done. You'll never finish that important project. You'll never achieve your long-term goals. The art of saying no is about making your time a priority. It's about protecting your energy, your focus, and your future. If you don't learn to say no, you'll end up saying yes to everything, at the expense of your true mission. So, I set boundaries. I don't take meetings before 10 a.m. I don't check my inbox until I've solved one difficult problem for the day. I don't say yes to anything unless it directly contributes to my vision. I say no to 90% of things. And that's the secret. You have to be ruthless about protecting your time. It's not about being antisocial or unkind. It's about being strategic. You can't waste your energy on things that don't matter. You have to reserve your energy for the big tasks. The ones that move the needle. You can't build a legacy if you're constantly distracted. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your mission, you're giving away a little bit of your future. And once it's gone, you can't get it back. This is why saying no is such a powerful tool. It forces you to prioritize, to focus, to eliminate distractions. And when you do that, you'll find that the things you say yes to become infinitely more valuable. So, when I get a new request, I don't immediately say yes. I ask myself, does this align with my mission? Will this move me closer to my vision? If the answer is no, I say no. And I move on. This habit has been a game changer. By saying no to the small things, I've been able to say yes to the big things. And those big things? They've changed my life. So, when you're faced with a new opportunity or request, ask yourself, will this help me build the future I want? If not, say no. Protect your energy. Your future self will thank you. Chaos. It's inevitable. No matter how perfectly you plan or how much effort you put into your work, life will throw curveballs at you. And when those moments come, you're faced with a choice, to crumble or to keep moving. But here's the reality, you can't avoid chaos. You can't avoid failure. You can't avoid mistakes. And you definitely can't avoid challenges. They're part of the process. The key is how you react to them. When rockets fail, companies lose billions, and your ideas fall flat, the world doesn't stop. It keeps spinning, indifferent to your failures. But you have the power to decide how you move forward. It's in the chaos that you truly learn what you're made of. For me, it's never been about avoiding failure. It's about learning to dance with it. Embrace the discomfort. Accept the uncertainty. And understand that your next move, no matter how small, can pull you out of the spiral. I remember facing some of the hardest moments in my career. The kind of failure that feels like everything you've worked for is crumbling right before your eyes. But here's the thing, I didn't panic. I didn't freeze. I followed a protocol that I created for moments just like these. Step 1, brutal honesty. I named what just happened. I didn't sugarcoat it or try to make it sound better than it was. Failure hurts. It's okay to admit it. So, I would say to myself, this just failed. This hurts. This happened. And that's the first step to moving forward. You can't fix what you don't admit. Step 2, future self perspective. When you're deep in the chaos, it's easy to get lost in the moment. But the real game changer is stepping back and asking, what would the version of me who's 10 times smarter do right now? That simple question shifts your perspective and clears the mental fog. Suddenly, the path forward becomes clearer, even in the midst of the storm. Step 3, irreversible motion. The moment you're facing chaos, you need to take one small, irreversible step forward. It could be sending a tough email, making a difficult phone call, or taking a quick action to show yourself that you're not stuck. That's the key, don't wait to feel ready. Move. Even just an inch. That's how you break free from the pull of chaos. Because here's the thing, you won't always have control over what happens. Things will go wrong. Sometimes, they will go very wrong. But what you can control is how you respond. You can't afford to stand still. If you do, you'll just be dragged into the chaos. Movement is your lifeline. I learned that in every failure, there's a lesson. And in every challenge, there's an opportunity to rise higher than before. The key isn't avoiding the chaos, it's learning how to move through it. You're not going to fail because of the obstacles you face. You'll fail if you stop moving. And when you do face failure, remember this, it's not permanent. It's temporary. You're not defined by your failures. You're defined by how you get back up. Because the real test isn't how you perform when things go right. It's how you perform when everything falls apart. So when chaos hits, I don't get caught up in the noise. I follow my protocol, embrace the chaos, and keep moving. Because in the end, motion is the only thing that ever breaks gravity. Failure. It's not just a part of the process, it's a sign that you're on the right track. People often talk about failure like it's a dead end. They say, I tried and failed. But what if we reframe that? What if we look at failure as the beginning of something bigger? Failure isn't a stop sign. It's a checkpoint. It's a test of your resilience. A challenge to see if you have the stamina to keep going, even when the world is telling you to stop. When you fail, the only thing that's truly lost is your ego. Everything else? It's a lesson. A stepping stone. I've been there. Sitting at the lowest point in my career, wondering if it was all worth it. At times, I didn't know if the work I was doing would ever pay off. But I had a choice. I could let failure crush me, or I could use it as fuel to grow stronger. Most people give up when they fail. They walk away, thinking that failure means they're not cut out for this. But the truth is, failure doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. So, I embraced failure. I took it on the chin, acknowledged it, and moved forward. I started to see failure differently, not as a setback, but as an opportunity to learn, adapt, and improve. I realized that every failure brought me one step closer to success. You know what I learned? The true test of success is not how many times you win, it's how many times you get back up after losing. If you're not failing, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. You're playing it safe. And safe is the enemy of greatness. But here's the key, you can't let failure be your final chapter. Failure is just a page in your story. It doesn't have to be the end. It can be a turning point. A moment when you choose to rise stronger, smarter, and more determined. So how do you rise after failure? First, you need to reframe it. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned. Every setback holds valuable lessons that will propel you forward. The more you fail, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the stronger you become. Next, you have to take action. No matter how small the step, moving forward is the only way out of failure. When things aren't going your way, don't sit in the despair. Take action. Even if it's just sending one email or making one call. It might not fix everything, but it will move you closer to the solution. The truth is, we all failed. It's inevitable. But the key difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't the failure itself. It's how you choose to respond to it. I learned to see failure as a challenge, not a roadblock. It's a test. A way of refining your character and strengthening your resolve. And every time you fail and get back up, you get closer to your true potential. And I'll tell you this, the only way to truly fail is to stop trying. If you keep moving, keep learning, and keep growing, you can't truly fail. You'll only get better. And that's the path to success. Failure is not the end. It's the beginning of a new chapter. So the next time you fail, don't be afraid. Embrace it. Learn from it. And use it to fuel the fire that's driving you to achieve greatness. Success doesn't come from sporadic bursts of effort. It comes from relentless consistency. Day in, day out, no matter how you feel, you have to show up. You have to keep grinding, keep improving, and keep pushing forward. I used to think that success was about massive breakthroughs, big wins, or monumental moments. But as I've grown, I've realized that it's actually the small, everyday efforts that matter the most. It's about being relentless in your pursuit of excellence, even when no one's watching. You see, most people want success quickly. They want the shortcut. The quick win. But the truth is, success is earned over time, through small, consistent actions. Those tiny steps, the ones that seem insignificant in the moment, build up and compound into something much greater. You won't notice the change immediately. But one day, you'll look back and realize just how far you've come. That's the power of consistency. It's not flashy. It's not glamorous. But it works. When I started my journey, there were no instant results. There were no quick fixes. It was all about showing up every day, even when I didn't feel like it. Even when the results were slow, even when I was discouraged. But that's the secret, you have to push through the tough days. The days when it feels like nothing is working, when you question whether it's worth it. Those are the days that matter most. They're the days that shape your future. And here's the thing, it's not about doing everything perfectly. You don't have to be flawless in your execution. You just have to keep moving forward. Even if you make mistakes, even if you fall short, consistency is what will get you there. Because here's the truth, success is built on habits. The habits you form today will determine your success tomorrow. If you're consistently working towards your goals, even in the smallest ways, you'll get closer to your dream with each passing day. The key is to build a system that supports consistency. It's about creating routines that help you show up every day, regardless of the obstacles. You need to automate your success by developing habits that align with your goals. For example, I don't wait for motivation. I don't rely on inspiration to get me through the day. I have systems in place that ensure I take the right actions every day, even when I don't feel like it. Consistency is about making the right decisions every day, whether or not you feel like it. The result? Success isn't a lucky break. It's a daily grind. You might not notice it at first. But when you look back, you'll see that consistency has turned your efforts into something truly extraordinary. Here's what I've learned: success doesn't happen overnight. It happens when you keep showing up, day after day, no matter what. It's about building a foundation that can weather the storms and stand the test of time. So if you want to achieve anything meaningful, you need to make consistency your ally. You need to commit to the process, trust the grind, and keep pushing forward. It's not always glamorous. It's not always fun. But it works. And when you look back, you'll see that it was the consistency, not the big wins, that made all the difference. In a world that's obsessed with saying yes to everything, I've learned that the most powerful word you can say is no. It may sound counterintuitive, but hear me out. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And often, that something else is more important than what you're agreeing to. It took me years to understand this. For the longest time, I thought that success was about being available, saying yes to every opportunity, and being the go-to person for everyone. But the truth is, that's how you get overwhelmed. That's how you burn out. Saying yes to everything is a trap. It's a fast track to draining your energy and your focus. It's easy to get caught up in the "I should be doing this" mentality. But what happens is, you end up doing everything but the things that matter most. I used to take on every project, every meeting, every request. At first, it felt good. I felt important, needed. But eventually, I realized that it wasn't sustainable. I was spreading myself too thin. I was saying yes to everyone else's priorities and saying no to my own. Then I started getting deliberate with my yes. I started asking myself, does this align with my mission? Will this move me closer to my long-term goals? If the answer was no, I said no, simple as that. The power of saying no is that it creates space. It gives you the mental clarity to focus on what really matters. It's like clearing clutter from your desk. Suddenly, you can see what's important and what needs attention. Without saying no, you're constantly juggling, constantly reacting, and never truly creating. But it's not just about saying no to other people's demands. It's also about saying no to the distractions that keep you from your mission. The random notifications, the endless scrolling, the unnecessary meetings. All of those are distractions. And every time you say yes to one of them, you're saying no to your own success. Here's the key: the more you say no, the more time and energy you have to say yes to the things that truly matter. I'm not suggesting that you become antisocial or cut off all relationships. But I am saying that you need to be ruthless with your time. Protect it fiercely. Your time is your most valuable asset, and once it's gone, you can't get it back. You need to protect your focus. It's your most precious resource. And the more you guard it, the more you can achieve. When you're not constantly being pulled in different directions, you can make real progress on the things that matter most. Saying no doesn't mean you're lazy. It means you're focused. It means you're intentional about where you spend your energy. It means you understand that in order to create something meaningful, you need to be selective about the opportunities you take on. I've built a system around saying no. I don't take meetings before 10 a.m. because I need the mornings to focus on the hard problems. I don't check my email until I've completed my mission block. And I say no to most things because they simply don't align with my goals. And the result? I'm more productive, more focused, and more fulfilled. By protecting my time and energy, I can put my best work into the things that matter most. The truth is, the more you say no, the more you free yourself to say yes to the life you want to build. And that's the ultimate power, the power of focus. One of the hardest lessons I've ever learned is that sometimes, you have to be willing to start over. It's not easy. In fact, it's terrifying. You put in the work, you pour your heart into something, and then, when you least expect it, everything falls apart. The fear of failure can stop you in your tracks. But here's what I've come to realize: starting over isn't a failure. It's a new beginning. Every time I've hit a wall, every time I've been forced to reset, it's been the turning point that led me to something greater. I remember a time when I had to let go of a massive project I'd been working on for years. I was invested, emotionally, mentally, financially. But I reached a point where I had to make a tough decision. I had to ask myself, is this still moving me toward my vision? Is this still aligned with my long-term goals? The answer was no. It hurt. But letting go was the best decision I could have made. In that moment, I realized something. The courage to start over isn't about quitting. It's about choosing growth over comfort. It's about recognizing that your vision will evolve, and sometimes, you have to let go of what you thought was your future in order to make room for the real one. It's hard to embrace the unknown. It's hard to admit that you don't have all the answers, and even harder to start something from scratch. But here's the thing, growth happens outside of your comfort zone. And if you want to build something that lasts, you have to be willing to start over when necessary. The fear of starting over is really the fear of uncertainty. You don't know where it's going to take you. You don't know what the future holds. But you have to trust the process. You have to trust that starting over isn't a setback, it's a step forward. I've done it multiple times. I've shut down businesses. I've changed directions. I've faced moments of complete uncertainty. And every time, it's led me to something better. It's led me closer to my true purpose. I've learned that sometimes, the best way to move forward is to let go of what's holding you back. The biggest mistake you can make is to hold on to something that's not working. It's easy to get attached to your plans, your ideas, your investments. But sometimes, the smartest thing you can do is cut your losses and start fresh. It's not a defeat. It's an opportunity for reinvention. When you start over, you get a chance to learn from your mistakes. You get to bring all of your previous experiences into the new journey. And with that knowledge, you're better equipped to succeed. Here's the truth, starting over isn't the end. It's the beginning of a new chapter. It's the point where you take everything you've learned and use it to create something better. And that's where real growth happens. The courage to start over is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who remain stuck. It's about having the strength to move forward, even when the path ahead is unclear. It's about trusting yourself enough to know that you can handle whatever comes your way. So the next time you're faced with a setback, remember this, you don't have to be afraid to start over. In fact, it might just be the best decision you ever make. We often think that success is a grand event. We imagine it as a momentous occasion, the big launch, the massive deal, the game-changing breakthrough. But the truth is, success is built on small wins. Every small victory is a step forward, a piece of the puzzle that leads you to your ultimate goal. It's easy to overlook these little moments, but they add up in ways you can't always predict. Every task you complete, every hurdle you overcome, is building momentum. And momentum is what carries you through the tough times. I've had days where everything seemed to go wrong. The emails piled up, the meetings dragged on, and the tasks felt never-ending. On those days, it's hard to feel like you're making progress. But when I look back, I realize that even on my toughest days, I was still winning. I was taking steps forward. Slowly, but surely. Success is rarely a result of one big move. It's the sum of the hundreds or even thousands of small decisions you make every single day. Each time you get up, keep pushing, and stay focused, you win. You don't need to see immediate results. Sometimes, the impact of your actions is hidden beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Let me tell you a secret, the key to lasting success is consistency. It's not about making giant leaps every day. It's about showing up and doing the work, even when it doesn't seem like it's paying off. Every small win compounds over time, and those seemingly insignificant steps build the foundation of something massive. I remember when I first started out. I didn't have a huge team or resources. I didn't have the name recognition I have now. But what I did have was persistence. I made small decisions every day that moved me closer to my goal. Some days it felt like nothing was happening, but looking back, I realized those small wins were the ones that set me up for everything that came later. Small wins create confidence. When you see the results of your efforts, even in tiny increments, it boosts your belief in yourself. That confidence fuels more action. And more action means more progress. The best part? Small wins are within your control. You don't need to wait for luck or external circumstances to align. You can create your own momentum by focusing on the little things. Every time you finish a task, tackle a problem, or push past a challenge, you're moving closer to your big goal. I'm not saying the big moments aren't important. But what I am saying is that they're the result of consistent effort. The small wins are what get you there. They may not seem significant at the time, but they accumulate into something much larger. So, next time you're feeling overwhelmed or discouraged, take a moment to appreciate the small wins. You're building something greater than you realize. If you're building something meaningful, chaos will find you. It's inevitable. It's a part of the process. When you aim for greatness, you will encounter disorder, unpredictability, and setbacks. You will face moments where everything feels like it's falling apart. The systems you've built may fail, and the plans you've carefully laid out will get disrupted. But here's the secret: chaos isn't something to be afraid of, it's something to be embraced. I've learned to see chaos as a sign that I'm pushing the limits. When everything is calm and predictable, you're probably not doing something that matters. The real work happens in the turbulence. That's where growth lies. It's in the chaos that you uncover your true potential. When a rocket blows up, it's not a failure of the entire mission. It's an opportunity to learn and improve. When a launch doesn't go as planned, it's a chance to refine the process, test new strategies, and come back stronger. But here's where most people miss the point: they let the chaos overwhelm them. They panic. They freeze. They let fear paralyze them. And once that happens, it's easy to give up. But here's the trick: embrace the discomfort. I've faced failure more times than I can count. But every single time, I didn't retreat from the chaos. I leaned into it. I stayed in motion. I refused to let it define me. Because I knew that within chaos lies clarity. In fact, I've learned that the more chaotic things become, the more I need to double down on my focus. It's easy to lose track when things aren't going as planned. The distractions pile up. The doubts creep in. But it's in these moments that I ask myself the critical question: what can I control right now? And with that question, the chaos starts to shrink. I've made peace with chaos. I don't expect every day to go perfectly, and I don't expect everything to always make sense. Some days will be messy. Some days will feel like you're taking 2 steps back instead of 1 forward. But if you keep moving, you will always make progress. Let me give you a perspective shift: chaos isn't random. It's the universe testing your resilience. If you can navigate the storm, you can create something that lasts. Chaos doesn't destroy. It refines. It forces you to adapt and grow. And that's what makes you stronger. When everything seems out of control, remember, that's the point. You're being tested. You're being pushed to see how badly you want this. How badly you want to turn chaos into something extraordinary. So, next time you feel like the world is spinning out of control, don't panic. Embrace the chaos. Lean into it. Trust that the storm is going to bring out the best in you. And when you come through the other side, you'll be unbreakable. You will face resistance. You will face setbacks. You will encounter moments where giving up seems like the easiest choice. But here's the truth: the only way to become unstoppable is to never let those moments define you. I've seen failure. I've seen losses that seemed insurmountable. But here's what I've learned: success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about how you respond to it. It's about how quickly you bounce back. It's about learning from every misstep, every setback, and using that knowledge to build something even stronger. I've met people who have everything going for them: talent, connections, resources. But they're not unstoppable. Why? Because they don't embrace the grind. They don't understand that success isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about moving forward despite the imperfection. It's about showing up every day, even when the world tells you to stop. What separates the successful from the unsuccessful is this: the successful keep moving forward. It's easy to be motivated when everything is going well. The true test is whether you can keep going when things aren't easy. When failure hits. When the path is unclear. Can you keep your vision alive? Can you stay committed? The first step to becoming unstoppable is to stop seeing obstacles as roadblocks. Instead, view them as challenges to grow, evolve, and sharpen your skills. Every setback is an opportunity to come back stronger. And every failure is just a stepping stone on the way to success. When you build something that matters, there will be moments of intense pressure. There will be days when you feel like you can't take another step. But that's the test. That's the point. The people who succeed are the ones who refuse to quit. They don't give up when things get tough. They dig deeper. They find another gear and keep going. But the key to becoming unstoppable isn't just about pushing yourself endlessly. It's about learning when to rest, when to recharge. Your energy is your most valuable asset. Don't burn it out chasing perfection. Sometimes, the best way to move forward is to take a step back, refocus, and regain clarity. This is how you preserve your energy for the long haul. You have to remember, success is not a sprint. It's a marathon. And during a marathon, it's not about how fast you start. It's about how you pace yourself and how you respond when things get hard. The people who finish are the ones who keep running even when they don't feel like it. The ones who push through the mental and physical exhaustion. The ones who refuse to stop. So, here's the challenge I'm leaving you with: start today. No more waiting for the perfect time. No more holding back. Take the first step. It doesn't matter how small it is. What matters is that you keep going. That you stay committed to your mission, even when the road gets tough. You are capable of becoming unstoppable. The only thing standing between you and your goals is your decision to keep moving. You are the one who decides when to stop. And I'm telling you right now, don't stop.